Hi everyone! Welcome back to this channel of crafting, crochet and knitting. My name is Nikki and welcome to my little yarniverse. So hello, welcome if you're new, welcome back if you're a returning viewer. Those of you who are returning might have noticed something a little bit different about the background behind me, and that I welcomed you to my yarniverse and the yarn is hidden. This is a temporary solution, I hope, because my craft room was getting completely out of control. And there were bags and there were crafts and there was sewing and yarn everywhere. I sort of realised that it was a very cluttered space and I didn't like it, so we have temporarily got some boxes and we have stuffed them absolutely to the brim with yarn, and that has allowed me to make a little bit more space on my shelf to put a few more things that were currently sort of like tumbling off the shelf back on, out the way, and clear my space. However, once I have made a dint in some of this yarn collection, I thoroughly intend to have things out on display again. Maybe not all the shelves, maybe I'll keep the boxes for some things, but yeah, I want to see the pretty colours too. So apologies for the rather boring background. I have been offline for quite a while. It has been a tough year. It continues to be a tough year. And so I don't really feel like podcasting very much, but I have done a lot of crafting over the last few months, and I have had several episodes where I haven't shown you what I've made, and therefore I have got, actually, when I look back, 6 months. 6 months of makes that I haven't shown you. So I think you need to buckle up because this is going to be a big episode. So without further ado, I'm going to find one of the many boxes and bags of finished items that I've been storing, waiting to show you before I put them away. And yeah, let's get started. So let's start with this bag. This one might look a little bit familiar because I did do a YouTube short recently that showed the content in this bag. I say recently, it was probably months ago now. So I was just going to very quickly show you the things that are in here. We have got our little duck friend that we finished. Due to the overhead lighting, which, apologies, it's disgusting, the overhead lighting is there because I'm currently recording in the evening, and if I don't have it then there's no light. But due to the overhead lighting, we have probably got a fairly accurate look at quite how bright this duck is. A very vibrant yellow, very vibrant orange, and a cute little blue bow on the top. So yeah, very happy with our little duck and webbed feet. This duck is going to join the collection of the Snuggle and Play Aragurumis that I have been making my way through slowly but surely. We're actually nearly there. There's a few more that I need to make, and then when I've made them, maybe I need to show you the whole collection. But I did continue doing sewn eyes, just because then like younger kids can play with the toys. I don't do them all the time, and in fact I'm pretty sure, I am sure, that the next one we used safety eyes because of these black rings around the panda's eye. So yeah, we have our panda here. I absolutely hate working with black yarn. Black yarn just has this tendency that even in, you know, really natural light, it's still really difficult to see stitches, and I guess that's because you're trying to get a tight gauge because you don't want the stuffing to come out, but yeah, the stitch definition suffers, I think, as a result of the colour. So hard to work with. I'm quite glad that I've managed to finish this one, and because I've already done the zebra, I think that's it for working with black yarn on these Aragurumis, hopefully. But really happy with how the panda came out. Very cute. And then the other thing in this bag is this granny square blanket. This granny square blanket is going way back because I fashioned this off of a granny square blanket that I saw in the background of the Christmas podcasts from a channel called The Wee So and So. Kaz there is a crocheter and knitter, so I presume that she made her blanket, and I kind of saw it and I thought, oh, there's this sort of lovely hot chocolate colour, this very Christmassy red and white, and it just felt really cozy. I think like sometimes Christmas colours where it's like a lot of red and green, it kind of makes me feel a little bit more like toy elves, whereas this actually kind of felt really festive, but also I could leave this up in January and no one's going to complain. So yeah, really happy with how it came out. I decided to do a mix of these squares, so this is 2 rows in each colour in different orientations. I think I got every combination of orientation in these somewhere in the blanket. And then just to piece them together, I've got these as well. So this is actually only one orientation. It's either red through tan through white, repeated, or it's white through tan through red, repeated. And that's just, I think, to kind of tie it together and not get too much of the tan around. And then the thing that I am so pleased about with this blanket is the join. So you can't really see any joining stitch work, right? And that is because if I hold it really close to the camera, the stitch work is all under there. So what I did was mattress stitch through the back loops of each of the outsides of this crochet, and quite tight, and I've done that in, I believe, beige throughout, but I'm now not certain. What colour have I done it in? No, no idea what colour I've done it in. Maybe red? Nope. Not sure. I also actually tell a lie, it's not mattress stitch. You can tell how long ago I finished this. Just go back, it is actually white. I've used the colour white, and I have done a single crochet through the back loops such that it's actually on the reverse, so this sort of little lumpy bit of stitches is on the back and hidden out of sight. So there we go, that's what the back looks like, so you can see the seaming work now. But it's still really quite tidy, just it's there, it's present, but because I've only gone through the back loops, it's not visible at all on the front, which is great. Yeah, so now I've remembered how I made my own blanket. I also went for very simple border, and we just did a row of single crochet in white, a row of single crochet in tan, a row of single crochet in white, and a row of single crochet in red. And I think that's just because I was trying to balance the colour. I knew I wanted to end on red. I didn't want to take away from the squares too much, hence going for the single crochet, and I also kind of wanted that firm border as well. I think sometimes there's a difficulty with when you're working granny squares, what border you do. Do you do a granny square border that matches granny squares, but then do you break your colour cycle, that kind of thing. I feel like there's just a whole another week of creative process once you work out what border you want, and yeah, I decided to go for this in the end. It did make it quite simple to go around the joins. Oh, nearly knocked my light off. It made it quite simple to go around the joins because I just had to go into the stitch, because I think I did 2 in each corner, so I just went into the one that was part of that side. Very carefully move my blanket. So that's that one. I'm going to have to put all of these back as well at some point, and I have to pause throughout the video and put things back. So another thing that we finished was this jumper. Now I'll be honest, I can't remember if I even showed the start of this jumper on the channel. It's inside out. I can't remember if I showed that I started this jumper or not on the channel. It's been so long. And yeah, I acquired this yarn from a friend, and there was enough of it to make a sweater's quantity. Now actually this one you can't really see the colour properly, I don't think, in the light. Maybe. It looks quite grey, but it's more of a kind of steely teal. It's quite a muted teal colour. Maybe I should put a picture in at some point in better lighting. But it's that kind of, I never thought I could wear a colour like this because it felt very winter and not very autumnal, but actually quite happy with how it came out. It does slightly match my eyes, so yeah, kind of happy with it. Talking about the pattern itself, so this is the Eclectic pattern. That's a free pattern online. I will try and find the link and put it in the description. I've made one of these before using magenta and navy to make stripes, but this time I decided just to go with the texture, and I did it all in one colour because I had absolutely loads of this colour. It is a really good one for people trying to expand their different crochet stitches, because we've got little bobbles in there, we've got clusters, and we've got normal sort of stitches. Ooh, funny lighting there, now it looks more grey. It's got, you know, single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, that's in US terms. It has got even triple in US terms. I don't even know what that would be called in UK terms. So you wrap the yarn around twice before you go into the stitch, which makes it longer. It's got sort of some usual motifs in there from doing granny squares, but then it's also got going into individual stitches and making like little eyelet holes. Yeah, so really interesting pattern if you are trying to expand your skill set. I've done this pattern before, so I was kind of used to it. It's got a crochet rib base and crochet rib sleeves. The sleeves are quite poofy, so you start with a stitch count for the cuff, and then you actually double the stitch count completely in that first row, which turns it straight into this very poofy sleeve. It joins at the shoulder like so, and I actually added some shaping this time because the Eclectic that I made last time was quite baggy around my stomach and quite baggy around my neck, so I did one extra repeat of the pattern coming inwards to make the neckline smaller, and I also added a little bit of shaping around the bust, just so that it fit a little bit better around my stomach. And that's just like a pattern repeat over 3 lines. Is kind of how I staggered it in the stitches that I would need. So that's the first bag. I'm quickly going to pause, put some of that away, and then get ready to show you the next big item on my list. Okay, so the next item that I have to show you has been a long time in the making, but whilst I was on my yarn crawl, I picked up some blocking pins, and I already had like some blocking mats. I just didn't have any pins, so I finally took those out of their wrapping and sprawled it out across the floor. Got my blocking pins and was able to block some squares for a different blanket that I have been waiting on for so long. So I now get to show you this is my, oh, it's so big, Solar System blanket. It's corner to corner, so it's kind of like pixel art. We've got Jupiter. This is one that I made myself, and so this is Rosetta and Philae, which was the Comet Hunter satellite. Jupiter, actually I added some detail, so I added this striping into it. The original pattern just had the spot, and then this was all one colour. We've got asteroids, we've got comets. What else we got on this one? This one is Venus, which kind of shows you just like a plain circle, which is pretty fair. Venus is very cloudy instead of sort of what we see, so it's not the surface, but what we see like on the outside of the atmosphere is quite plain compared to some of the other planets. You see the corner of the sun there. The sun is a big one in the middle. Rocket, Mars, Saturn, I made myself. The original pattern for me just kind of, when I put it next to all the other planets that I had added detail to, it didn't look right, so I made this one myself as well. So we got the rings, the rings there, and then also the sort of the atmospheric detail. Speaking of detail, I added this detail into Mars because Mars has actually got some polar ice caps, and it has got sort of this two-toned rusty surface. I added detail into Neptune as well because Neptune also has some storms on it. They're just blue. We've got, I saw another one, where did it go? Pluto. I added Pluto, and I added the detail for Pluto as well. So since we had that permission, we have got a lot more detail in our images of Pluto. And we've got this lovely little heart motif. You should go and check it out. Just Google it. Oh, the shuttle actually is different colours. I went for more actual space shuttle mission colours rather than sort of the more sort of toy shuttle colouring in the original design. We've got this one, which I made myself. This is Voyager. That's a satellite mission responsible for some of our earlier images of planets in our solar system. There's so much going on here. Oh, Earth, hang on. We got Earth, I added the detail in for that, and then Mercury as well. So as you can see, pretty big. I'm trying not to hit the light wiring again, so I won't open the whole thing out, but it is as it is as long as it is wide, and it's pretty wide. This is my whole span here. It's enough for an adult to snuggle under, or a couple of kids to snuggle under for a film night. Super excited about that. There are still little bits of seamed ends that I have to weave in, I know, but it was such a task getting the whole thing put together in the first place that I was just like, okay, no, we're going to put it down for a bit, we're going to fold it, we're going to enjoy this moment, and I will seam it as I go. What I don't have is a border, and I don't know if I'm going to do a border or not. It kind of works without, but then there are just these little bits like here where it's really close to the edge, and I just wonder if, do I need a border there or not? So I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts about how to put a border on a corner to corner crochet project. I'm interested to know what you've done in the past and see if I think anything's going to work here. I have got absolutely loads of navy yarn, that's no worry. So if it's a yarn eater, that's fine. I'm just intrigued to know, and maybe I'll be adding a border at some point. But that's the blanket. Really big, bulky. Really happy that it's finished, and also, yeah, excited to use it. It is, despite the absolutely horrid rain and grey cloud that we have in the UK, it is ridiculously humid, and so I absolutely do not want a blanket on me today, thank you. So right, now I need to go and dig out another bag of things to show you. We are getting close now to the baby items. I have currently got two, well, when I started this I had 2 pregnant friends. Now I have 4 pregnant friends, and I'm going to have to do a couple of little pieces. I don't think I need to do much for 2 other people, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. My main priority at the moment is the 2 people that were pregnant first, because they're going to be having their children this side of the new year, so I have to get on with things. And one of the people who's pregnant is my just bestest friend. So this child is getting absolutely spoiled rotten. I'm super excited. I don't think she watched this podcast, but this is your warning. If you happen to be watching this video, yeah, you know me and you're pregnant right now, turn it off, look away, no cheating. You've had your warning. I will not be impressed if I find out that you've been sneaking a peek. Okay, so for those of you that are left behind, here are the first things I finished for these 2 little munchkins, and that would be because Christmas babies. So we've deliberately gone for the next size up. So this is not the newborn size, this is next size up, so that by the time that the children being born this side of Christmas kind of, you know, get a few months old, they will fit into these Christmassy themed jumpers. So really exciting. Jumpers, not jumpers, cardigans. So I've done this pattern before. I'm not gonna lie, I actually really hate doing this colour combination because the sheer quantity of ends that you have to weave in is more than the work to crochet in the first place. But it's a really simple pattern. It's just kind of starts with a rectangle and then increases at the raglan, and then you join under the arm, do the rest of the body, and then add the sleeves. Or if you're feeling really wild, do the sleeves first. I think what I maybe could have done is carried the yarn, maybe, but I didn't want to risk carrying the yarn in case it looked odd. Oh, actually, hang on. Could I carry the yarn? If I ended here, did a white, did a green. Yeah, okay, so maybe I could have carried the yarn. Maybe I should have carried the yarn. But lesson learnt. I then just put a red board, red sort of, it's not a button band because I haven't added buttons. I didn't want it to be a choking hazard, but I just sort of like finished it off to tidy the ends up on this one. And then actually this is green. This is green predominantly, and so I've added a green band there. So that's the first thing I've made. There's a lot. So the next thing that's quite an easy make was that I had some of this yarn left over from the last time I made a paper blanket. So this will look familiar to some people. It is pretty much the same thing. I started by casting on a few more stitches, and then I decreased in order to get to the stocking stitch part because the garter edging sort of pulls in more than the stocking stitch. So I ended up casting on more and decreasing into the stocking stitch. Again, got garter down each edge, and then I increased before I cast off again in the garter. I actually don't know if I held that the right way. I could have very easily been talking about no, I did. I did. That's the cast on edge. It's a beautiful colourway. There was a bit more pooling this time, I think. I tried to avoid the pooling, but it was a bit unavoidable in some places, so we just kind of went with it. And the only thing I'm worried about is that these are, they're so drapey. I used the 8mm knitting needles that I have, so they're very drapey and very light and airy, fluffy. That lightness brings out the fluff, but also little fingers could definitely get caught in here. So I think this is one of those, use it when the baby is already in like a onesie baby growth thing as an extra layer. Don't actually let their little fingers and little toes get to the blanket, because I wouldn't want them to get stuck. But that's one. I don't know yet which friend that's going to go to. I just made it because I had the yarn. I thought it was just sitting there in my stash in this lot and it was going to go to waste otherwise. So we did that. And then the next things we did were some aragorimis. So one friend requested a giraffe. This is so cute. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm really pleased with this one. The last time I made a giraffe, I didn't really have as many different yellows, and so it was a very pastel giraffe. I say the last time I made a giraffe, I think I made 3. There was a pregnant friend who asked for one. There was another pregnant friend who asked for one, and then I made one for my collection. Yes, so I made 3 giraffes, all of them in a pastel lemony yellow with a lighter brown than this. This is a dark brown that I've also more recently acquired. So I kind of, what I did in the end was I got 3 different yellows and different browns and thought, okay, well, the person can even choose to match them up. But then I kind of looked at it and I thought, well, actually, we've got a bright yellow and kind of a goldy brown, so as bright as a brown can be, I suppose. And then we've got this one, which is quite a heavily saturated but muted combination, so sort of a dark brown and a dark yellow, but, you know, muted. And then I got the lemon colour out that I used before, and then the sort of the lightest tannish kind of brown out that I did the previous drafts with, and put those together, all with the snout colour, which is just a cream. And I sort of said to her, okay, which combination would you like? Would you like the pastel combination? Would you like the sort of saturated but dull combination, or the saturated and bright combination? She said this, and I'm so glad she did, because it was my favourite combination too. And I'm babbling because, yeah, it's so cute. Really love that one. So yes, little tail. really love that one. Oh, and because it's for the baby, sewn the eyes into place. So that's that one. And then dropped it down there. The other one I've done was for a friend. For them it was less the animal, I think, and more the colours. They absolutely love purple. So we've got a purple bunny. We've got this purple bunny, purple and grey stripes. Quite a bright purple, because so the friend who asked for the giraffe, their colourway is more of like a lilacs and sage, so it's sort of a lighter lavender purple, but this friend is like crazy pop bold purple, so I went for that. Cute little tail again, and actually the pattern didn't call for this, the pattern called for buttons, but again I am not using buttons and safety eyes on anything for newborns, and so I actually crocheted a star and sewed that in instead, and I think that allowed me to kind of get that nice purple colour in as well. It is a little bit harder to see, little nose, but very cute little nose. It's just lots of going around between two stitches, and it kind of built up this nice little bobbin of a nose. So yeah, very, very cute. So that's those. And then now I need to find where I buried the last thing, so one moment. Okay, found it. So this is the last thing that I have finished. There are still many, many, many things currently being made, but I think I'm going to have to save that for another episode because this one is getting pretty long. So this is the last thing I made, and I'm really quite happy with it. It's so adorable. Little baby hat. So this is Old Shale. It's a free pattern online, and I have done, so I've done this before, but I did this when I was like just starting knitting again. I'd only recently learned how to purl, so this was what, like 7 years ago, and be happy with my purling. And this is actually knit like flat. You could do it on straight needles. It's quite difficult at the start because you are increasing quite fast, and so it does try to pull, you know, into shape, and it doesn't work great. So I would like to try adapting this pattern to work on double pointed needles, but it is possible. If you have circulars, that, as in like circulars with cable, so with the cables, that's a little bit better, less, a little bit better, because the needles that you're using are smaller, and so that tension is eased sooner, because you get to a point where you have enough stitches on your needle that it will start to come onto the cable, and it just eases up some of that tension, so it's a little bit easier. But once you get to, like, you know, near to the final stitch count, you really don't notice it, so it's fine. So we just got these little additions that get made using knit one front and back, and then when you get to the plain stitch count, it's knitting two together and then yarning over to create the holes. And I've done the thing, now that I understand my knitting more, where I look at the pattern and I go, right, how is this actually working? What's going on here? What's my pattern repeat? How can I use this pattern in something else? And I've worked out that it's multiples of 11 for this particular combination. And I know that I would have to adapt the pattern if I did this in the round, because where I would normally go back on myself and purl instead of knitting, I would be able to knit continuously, so I have to keep that in mind. But I have got a baby cardigan pattern that I already adapted, a very basic pattern that I already adapted into a jumper, and so now I want to add this pattern into it, and I've got quite a bit of this yarn left, so I think I'll be able to make a matching set. It's going to be a really interesting experiment, and I'm quite happy to see how it goes, and I really hope it goes well, because if not I might cry. I'm kidding, but yeah, I really like it. I think this came out so much better than the first one I made. Sorry to the friend that I made the first hat for. But because I now know what I'm looking for and how the stitches work, you know, I was able to make this one and understand it, whereas the first time I made it I had no idea what was going on. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. So this is the friend who likes the like lilacs and sage colours, so I've got this sage colour. I'm going to make a set there. So that is what we've done so far. There's a lot. So there's still the jumper to make for this. There is currently a new jumper pattern that I've been making, which is just made in sections, so front, back and sleeves, that I've done in quite a dark lavendery purple and a dark sagey seafoamy kind of colour. So that is a stripy jumper that I just need to seam, and then I can show you that. And I need to make a hat to go with that, but I haven't worked out yet. Boots, I need to make boots for all these things. I haven't done boots yet. I have technically made another hat that is finished, but it's currently in my work in progress bag because I'm making the matching cardigan for it. That's in crochet and that's in greys and purples, so it's going to match the bunny, so that'll be really cute. So my phone stopped recording. It was rather abrupt. I only noticed it in editing, so we are a couple of days later. And I figured I needed to come back and record an ending to this podcast. So I do need to figure out why my phone keeps cutting me off. I think it doesn't like long recordings, but yeah, whatever. So I was in the middle of telling you about my baby knits and crochets, and I have got a lot that I'm making or that I plan to make, or that I've made and I just need to seam. But I think that actually, given that the video cut me off, I'll probably just wait and show you all of those and talk about those in another podcast. But yes, I'm feeling the time pressure to get these things made for my friends. And so yeah, actually, even though it's only been a few days, a couple of things have already been, if not finished, they've been put like on the this needs seaming pile. So yes, there's a lot. But that's fine. That's just another podcast. And then also I was going to tell you that I found some really, really lovely fabric. So not only am I going to be knitting and crocheting things for my friends, one of my friends who I've known since preschool, like since we were toddlers, so I know what she liked when she was little. I found some fabric that was perfect for that, and yeah, I think she's really going to enjoy the fact that I'm going to make something for her child out of it. And it just be this really cute little surprise. She has absolutely no idea. She knows about like the using things in her favourite colours, so she knows that stuff's going to come in her favourite colours a lot, but she doesn't have a clue about this fabric, so I'm really excited. Does mean I need to make some space for the sewing machine, but I did need to make some space for the sewing machine anyway, so this could be a good thing. And if not, it can be a Christmas present. Yeah, and then what else do I have to tell you? Well, I have signed up for a test knit. So I've never done a test knit before. I'm really excited to find out a bit more about it, about the process, about doing it. You know, giving that feedback and sending photos to the designer. Yeah, so I'm really excited. I don't know how much I can show on the channel though. So that's the only downside, is that I don't know how much I can talk about. But yeah, whatever I can talk about or whatever I can show, I will do in due course. But a lot is happening. That's why I have to kind of get through lots of the baby stuff, because the sooner that I finish the baby stuff, the more relaxed I will feel about the test knit and being able to get the test knit done. So busy, busy, busy. But also I'm really glad that, so as I was editing the podcast, as I was finishing the podcast, I realised that it had really lifted my mood. So I started off that podcast a few days ago quite low, and don't get me wrong, I've had some difficult days at work as well over the last few days, but today was good. And I mean, it wasn't good. Today was bad, but my mood was so much better, and just the excitement of being able to show and to talk about all the stuff that I've been making for my friends, you know, and being so excited for them, and then also just the feeling of success, like that endorphin hit of knowing that actually stuff that I started a year ago, I've now like got to a point where I've nearly finished, or stuff that I've been working on over the last 6 months, I've done quite a lot, and that I needed that, you know. I've spoken about it on this channel before, that when you're doing a project, you need those endorphin hits. Those endorphin hits are those, you know, hormones in your brain, those chemicals in your brain that make you feel success and make you feel good about what you're doing. And if you don't have them, it's just this constant on and on. And work has been a little bit like that. It's been feeling like I haven't had any success, and then just knitting away to try and de-stress, but then not de-stressing. It's because I haven't actually stopped and taken any time to appreciate that I finished those projects and get that endorphin hit. And doing this podcast was a really great way to find that. So yeah, really thankful for that. Thank you for being with me here today, watching this podcast, sharing in that with me. Do let me know what you are working on in the comments, because it's been a while and I'd love to hear what you're making on. And yeah, do you ever get like this where just even when you're crafting away, it's just not lifting your mood, but actually, yeah, maybe socializing with this community gets you, you know, all excited about crafting again? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to wrap this video up here. I'm excited that because of all of the stuff that I'm making for my friends, it does mean I've got more to show you in another podcast. I can't wait. So hopefully that will come very, very soon. And yeah, thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye for now.